Welcome everyone. Today I have a new Dota auto chess guide for the warriors. Yes, surprisingly, we'll be looking into 3-star warriors with tons of health, reflective damage, and almost infinite scaling. So let's have a look at the demonstration of the build in the late game when everything's completed with 9 warriors, and I'll go through with you guys how to get there in the early game, mid game, and the choices of the relics and also items, which can be game changing. So here we're versing one of the worst arch nemesis with the mages, and surprisingly we deal very good damage against the mages because we have reincarnation and also reflective damage. So coming back to the start of the game, and I think firstly, with warriors, what you're looking for is ideally you don't want to face any enemy that is too heavily focused on mages. So hopefully there's no dragon mage appearance with the legendary pool of units. And you kind of want to avoid warlock because warlock's golems can really ruin us. And also the demons coming from the pit lord can be a little stressful. But we're fitting all the categories that we don't want. But what do we want? Excuse me. So we want the rolling stars. So the relics that allow us to roll for cheaper rerolls, or the relics that allows us to get Lucy Star for the chance of 2-star units. So this would dramatically speed our process into getting 2-star and also oh my throat. One moment. The goal is to dramatically speed up our process into getting 3-star warriors, and then we go beyond this. Yes, in the early game I did get a lot of bounty hunter, but we didn't get enough of them to make the hunters work. I might make a guide on the hunters, but they're not as stable as the warriors. So our goal, so I think it's easier if we come over here as an overview. Our goal is to get all the tier 1 and also tier 2 warriors, all the warriors you see over here, to 3-star. And then our next goal is to get to level 9 and then get the 9 warriors synergy. And that is very easy said, but a little harder to execute because you have to balance the economy in getting the 3-star warriors and then getting to level 9 to complete the warrior synergy. And during this time, we'll be primarily focused on a few tier 2 and also tier 3 items, mostly tier 3 items. At the start of the game, if I can find Pelvis after round 3, I might be going for warriors. Because these items allows warriors to infinite scales with increasing armor, which each time they take damage, there's a chance of getting additional armor, and usually we get over 20 armor per Pelvis. We can get, 2 or 3 of those. And then the tier 3 item is just incredible for the warriors. There's a pipe, there's a Crimson Guard, there's also the Aegis of Immortal, which makes warrior kind of broken, because you're doing reflective damage based on your armor, and you get a new set of HP pool, and that really counters most of the builds. So the build of the warriors is going to be very stable. So let's have a look how you start with the warriors. I'll provide you guys, I think, with a win streak demonstration of the warriors, because if you're winning with the warriors, you play one way, but if you're losing with the warriors, you play with a priest, and then you start rolling at level 15. Which is kind of similar, but we'll go through the win streak and also losing streak. So, in terms of the winning streak, you can see I did find 2 tiny at the start of the round. The 2 units I kind of want to grow with my Pelvis, so someone gotta keep off the light as you saw there. The 2 warriors I'm looking for is gonna be Tiny, Center War Chief, or maybe Juggernaut, and those are the candidates for me to find the Pelvis item. So notice my neutral items Pelvis, and that makes me want to try to go with 3-star warriors. Other than that, I kind of want to scale my warrior forward further, and I don't want to be missing out on the early game armor game potential. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. You can see we're getting some good economy coming from the bounty hunter, and then we're just using the tinies and getting them killed, and in return getting more additional 100 bonus health for each tiny death. So around this time, I was thinking, how should we balance it? But eventually we balance into 3 warriors and also bounty hunter. If you have a 2-star unit with 3 warriors, it is very straightforward to run a win streak. You just get yourself to level 5 depending on the level curve. So leveling up at level 4, leveling up at level 7, I believe, or 6. And we'll have a look. So once the experience bar is just 4 gold away from leveling, most people do go to level 5. We're going to stay on level 5 for the winning streak warriors. You can see that I've gotten some of my warriors down on the board, and I'll be building my economy to 20, 30 gold. So in that sense, I'm not going to win consistently, or sometimes if I get lucky, I can win consistently. But the goal is to build towards 40 economy and then start rolling at round 15. And here I did make a change. I took out Wait the Purpose out of the Tiny and onto the Center Chieftain, and yes, level 7 will went to level 5. This is only because I'm going with a win streak. You do not do this for warriors if you're going with a losing streak. It is sometimes a little harder to get Tiny to be damaged, and Tiny doesn't do as nearly as much as the center War Chief or the Juggernaut in terms of damage output for the warriors. So getting a higher armor Tiny that is infinite growing is practically good, practically doable, but it's not that practical. I'm not using the right words. So here you saw that I lost my win streak. So Tiny is great in terms of defensive capacities, but his attack speed is slow, his spellcasting doesn't do that much damage. In comparison, the Center War Chief and also Juggernaut consistently deal high damage at level 1, level 1 star, 2 star, and also 3 star. And yes, don't forget we want all 6 of the warriors. And because I lost my win streak, I decided to swap in more Tinies, so as they get killed, they get more increase in health with their passive growth ability. Nothing too fancy until this point. We're going to go to level 10 to look at the relic selection. I mentioned earlier that 2 relics that you kind of want to boost your speed up rolling. And you can see my economy is actually quite low because I couldn't consistently maintain the win streak. Finding any other warriors can do at this stage, but ideally you don't need any other warriors other than the 6 low tier warriors, because you'll be running out of spot into rolling for 3 stars. So finding a Doom here helps, but it's not going to be a game changer for us. So having a look at the relics, I mentioned that we want either the weighted dice or the Lucifer Star, and I found one of those, and I'll be saving this relic and not activating it until round 15. So this way I have 10 rounds up to round 25 to be using this relic. Yes, you can activate the relic a little earlier, but I'm not really rolling at this stage, and it's not going to get that much benefit, like economy effect, compared if I waited for round 15. So we're going to fast forward to round 15. And you can see here, after round 15, both of the win streak and also losing streak warriors are very similar. So coming back a little bit, you see I kept my relic to round 14, and then round 15 we're going to pick greedy passive, so you have a discount in buying units of the same kind, and then we'll be rolling with the weighted dice. And here you can even sell any other warriors you don't have, because your limited capacity in getting 3-star warriors is gonna be bottlenecking us a little bit. I purposely moved the Tiny to the back, and you might have noticed I'm playing on 300 ping with the EO server, and hence the delay of control with the game. Now, you do want to get your Tiny killed as often as you can, because this helps them to gain additional health through growth, but you don't want to overdo it in case you lose the neutral round and lose against other players. After round 15, it is somewhat recommended to consider to go to level 6, so you have 6 warrior synergy, and that should stabilize your potential to lose additional health. Sometimes I get a little greedy, which can help out as well, so I stay on level 5 for the increasing chance of finding the low tier warriors, as you saw over here. But if you're really running out of spots, you might be going to level 6 as you saw over here, and then removing the Doom, giving us more space, and then just putting 6 different warriors on the board. And this is when you become the strongest for a few rounds. And this will help you to get all the 3-star warriors and maintain your, I guess, presence in the game so you don't lose too much health. Our goal is to not kill the other players until we get to level 9, but to survive and also maintain our health. During this time, you might have noticed I start to roll for tier 3 items. So I mentioned earlier, the tier 2 items we wanted early game, if you're winning, can be using Vanguard, or mostly focus on powers that is the best in slot item. Getting silver is very good. Sometimes even getting silver and also 2 tier 1 item means you can be rolling for tier 3 item. Most of the time I don't roll for tier 4 or tier 5 items until much later in the game. So the tier 3 item we're looking for is Mechanism, Crimson Guard, Pipe of Insight, Silver Guard, Ages of Immortal. You can even go Spell Prison on Center War Chief, but that's a little bit of Glass Cannon. But notice here I didn't get what I wanted, but luckily I rolled into Pipe of Insight. So those items dramatically boost the stats and also survivability of the warriors, and the Pipe on the Centaur Chieftain also means he takes less damage coming from his double edge, which he deals damage to himself, which helps him to be even tankier. It's one of the best items for the warriors. Of course, we're countered by the mages, technically. So, from level 16 to level 17, we'll be rolling. Now, during this time, a little bit of advice in rolling for warriors. Now, the tier 2 warriors, ideally you want all tier 2 warriors to 3-star, and the tier 1 warriors usually comes earlier. So, the focus is to get at least one of the warriors to 3-star that frees up more spot and then go further. But notice in the video, don't overspend your economy. I'll show you guys over here. As the moment I have a full board that is full of units, I stop rolling and I try to save up more economy. So the next time when I roll deeper, I don't break economy. It is also important to consider which unit you might want to sacrifice in case you overflow the board and there's no timing. But ideally, don't get yourself into that position. In this particular demonstration, the first replay I'm showing with you guys, I purposely didn't roll too fast because I'm running on 300 pins, and the goal is to get the low tier warriors to 3-star first and free up the spots and slowly get the higher tier warriors because it's harder to get them. But prioritize on Juggernaut and also Center War Chief is the most important part to deal damage for the warriors. It's not a priority to get Tiny to 3-star, to be honest. And then getting Mars or Axe to 3-star is good. Tusk is something I can sacrifice if I can't find the Tusk. But you generally find more Tusk than other units, because most people don't keep Tusk. So you saw on the board, we have a number of warriors. I want to show you guys. So over here, we started the round with 55 gold. I'll be trying to roll for my warriors, and if you do find warriors and you can't fit anymore, you can lock the side as well. So here, I'm running out 49 gold, and I'm sitting on 49 gold, and I can potentially roll into a Tusk. But it's also a chance of me getting a Juggernaut or Center War Chief or Mars that overflows my board, so I decide to stop rolling at level 18 to see what the next round of units takes me. So this is self-protection over overflowing the board and then not finding the 3-star units. Around this time, we could lose to the majors, but it's a risk I'm willing to take, and I see this as a player playing warriors, which is a little annoying. You don't want to be contested for 3-star warriors, but luckily he was going for level 9 quickly warriors, which fortunately he decided to path away from the 3-star warriors. If 2 players are rolling for 3-star warriors, both of you are not going to have a good time. So that's one thing you have to check before you run this build. 80% of the time, no one runs this build, because it's not a very meta-heavy build, but it's a very consistent build. I've been getting top 2, top 3, and coming first with this build very consistently. So we defeated the other warriors, and we're gonna fast forward a little bit. You can see with my rolling strategies and also saving IO, we're eventually coming to a good spot, and around round 20 to 25 is when you find most of your 3-star warriors. And purposely set the Tinies forward so they can be killed over here. Which is a good thing, because each time Tiny dies, they will gain permanently 100 health. But this one didn't die though. They got tossed into oblivion. So, again, making sure you have the spots and making sure you know how to overflow the board, how to roll for the units is quite important. Saving IO and making the clutch moment to fuse IOs is also important over here. I did fuse the Juggernaut a little earlier. I could have fused the Mars over here. But I kind of know I'll get the Mars, so I didn't want to waste the IO on the Mars. Anyways, you can see that the flowing and also learning how to rolling for 3-star is essential for this build, because ideally we want all 6 3-star warriors. Very soon I might not be able to find them, so here is something I want to mention to you guys. So I'm at a stage where I'm looking for 3 different warriors, and I think you'll be able to see that I rolled into the Center War Chief, and I'm keeping other warriors as well, by the way. See, I'm keeping Conquer, any other warriors for the 9 warriors. So we got the Juggernaut, and I think I'll be able to complete multiple synergy. Here I'm breaking economy because I don't want to stay for too long without the 3-star warriors. I'm going to fuse the Juggernaut, and I'm actually not rolling for the 3-star Tiny now, because around round 22 to round 23, if I can get 5 of the warriors completed to 3-star, I kind of want to save up gold for level 9. Because getting the Tiny to 3-star is not going to change much in the long run. After a few rounds, Tiny doesn't do that much, even 2 or 3-star. But getting the 9 warriors is going to be my next deal breaker. So you can see the Center War Chief have Pipe and also Powers, and he's sitting on 10 bonus armor. We're facing the mages, but luckily we have the anti-magic item with a Pipe of Insight. And we have tons of health. So we're really beating the other players with like raw strength in terms of health and also 3-star units. But that's going to change very soon once we get a stronger synergy. So let's go to round 25. On 25, I almost always get Guardian as long as I have over 50% health. Simply because warriors don't do that much damage to the enemy player. Getting Frenzy over here is not going to give us a lot of lifesteal. But getting Guardian over here is actually very good. I'm sitting on 83 health. The additional damage reduction, and sometimes coming from, Shells of Defiance and other relics can dramatically reduce the damage we take. Warriors usually don't take that much damage, but we don't deal that much damage as well. So notice I purposely rolling for tier 3 items, and the item I really want is Aegis of Immortal. This item will boost the center's damage because his damage is based on maximum health. This also gives him a second life, which is incredibly powerful. I accidentally put on a task as a mistake, by the way. So you might have noticed my second relic, I had double neutrals. As long as you have 3-star warriors, you can do pretty well against neutral monsters. So I've kept myself 3 different warriors, getting ready for my next set of fights. And here picking this particular item, this is the Heaven's Helper. This item is actually not bad for the warriors, especially facing enemies who are running demons, especially Demon Sven. If you can disarm Sven for a few seconds or 6 seconds, that can make a huge difference. And the miss chance is also good for us. But it's not a primary item I'm looking for. But anyways, that was a good item. So we'll be waiting for more rolls for tier 3 items and giving the rest of my items to the Juggernaut and also the Center War Chief. So around round 26, I want to show you guys the next benchmark. I am level 8 around round 29. So by round 30 or after round 30, you should be aiming for level 9. If you can't get to level 9 after round 30, you're definitely going to suffer a little bit. And we're facing another player who is already level 9 warriors, but he doesn't have 3-star warriors. So we should really overpower him with just the raw numbers. And he got chopped, the Sven was chopping everyone. So here reorganizing our items and also defeating the neutrals. We got a bunch of items, and let's see how do we go over here. So I happen to have enough economy, but I did pick the Leafy Essence just because I want to be more durable. I could have picked the other neutral items, which would be great as well. So getting my 9 warriors done. Over here, the Doombringer and also Conquer is great 1-star unit, and the Light can give us the Savage synergy. If we can get to level 10, keeping Slaughter and also 1 Naga give us 2 Nagas, which can make a huge difference because we're so tanky. Again, looking for tier 3 items, we found item. I don't want a repeated item. I could have gone for another Merc over here, to be honest. The Titan, this item is not what I wanted. But anyways, I was looking for Revive. I was looking for another Aegis of Immortal. So, once you get to level 9, the game just plays by itself. Majority of the time, the warrior have so much health and so much reflective damage because of your growth with purpose. You're reflecting enemies to death, and you saw over here. Most enemies who's not prepared for this, even the demons like the Sven over here, can get caught off guard. And because we had disarm, that helped a lot against the Sven. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit. You can see we're slowly taking down the enemy players, and I did fight my second Aegis of Immortal. And I think after round 35, I was preparing enough items to get the second Aegis of Immortal. Of course, during this time, for tier 4 item, there's a lot of good tier 4 items. So the tier 4 items we're looking for is going to be Giant's Ring. Anything that keep us alive and make us defensive. It can be against the mage. Radiance against most enemies was great with evasion and also bonus damage. Here the Guardian Graves is also great, but there isn't that many great tier 4 items compared to tier 3 items. And for tier 5 items, you generally want Assault Cuirass, which is defensive and also massively offensive with bonus armor that's reflecting. Mirror Shield is not bad. Iron Disc is not bad as well. But other than that, I guess Ogre Hood is okay as well, but not a game changer. And you can get Majonia just for the reflective shocks, but not a big game changer as well. So here I rerolled my neutral item, got the best one I could have found with the giant string, and that just makes us very durable. So the final boss for this particular fight is gonna be the mages. I gave the second Aegis to Tiny, and yes, I've been rolling for more Aegis. And ideally, Tiny is not gonna change the fight against the mages. What's gonna change the fight is gonna be Juggernaut with his magic immunity spin, which now he still takes out magic damage after the changes to BKB, I believe. And the Tiny is just having a lot of raw health. I did notice that once Tiny revives, he doesn't gain the bonus health coming from growth, so it's kind of wasted on Tiny, so I'll be moving the second Aegis to the Juggernaut. And again, we're facing mages, but we just have so much durability and defensiveness, he just can't crack through us. And most of the time, what you're going to see is, I'll show you guys the final fight. I gave the Aegis to the Juggernaut, and I even managed to get my I went to level 11. So level 10 is where you kind of want to be. Level 11, you can play around with the wizards and also get 4 Nagas. That's even more deadly against any of the magic casters. But I couldn't find more, Nagas and get things going. Keeping the 9 warriors and also expanding is also really good. So let's have a look at the mages. He did switch out of his mage synergy because he was just getting beat up by the warriors. Let's have a look at the fights before he switched out of the mage synergy. Actually, here he's already switched out of the mage. So here is a fight with the mage synergy and also some Zeus and also some other mages. What we're seeing is our warriors are dying, but they're reflecting damage back to the cast so fast that the Zeus would die before he can cast many spells. I'm able to face tank the spells, and then the reviving warriors will just finishing them off. You can see over here. It might do a lot of AoE and defeating my unit once, or sometimes not even once. The second life, they just can't do anything about it. But every round, they're losing out to the mega tank warriors with 23 extra armor, resistance, tons of health regen, and just never dying. So, this player eventually changed out of the mages into Sven and also into demons. He even gave out the items from the Zeus to the Sven. Let's have a look at the final fight. As you guys might have expected, I do think we try to disarm the Sven, and the Center War Chief would just kind of face tank the Sven. He's trying to lifesteal, but I did find a Primal Beast that disabled him a little bit. To follow from this, just nothing he can do against the raw tankiness of the warriors. And to summarize, before we go to a losing streak gameplay, what you're looking for is to combine the raw power of the 6 low tier warriors, combining them with items like Aegis, Pipe, the Mechanism, and also the Crimson Guard to just hyper boost the scales of health and also defensiveness. There's infinite growth with powers, and then there's some really good and game-changing items in the late game as well. Now, I'll be providing you guys with multiple replays, and I want to show you guys a losing streak replay as well. And here I do want to mention, even though the build and also the testing looks very good, consistently top 2 or top 3 or top 1 with warriors, there are a number of builds that can counter us. As you expected, the mages with 9 mages and lots of burst damage or even dragon mage can get us before we get the right items or before you get enough revives over here. And to follow from this, the demons, followed by the demon hunters, is one of the natural counters against this build, and not many people run a great demon build most of the game. Finally, the elves can be a counter to us with 9 elves before you get to 9 warriors, because your warriors don't do well against illusions, and the illusion will actually kill your warriors because they copy your warriors. To follow up on this, anything that allows the enemy players to gain the pure damage can be a counter to us. So Havoc Hammer in the late game can be a counter to the warriors. And of course, this is a default item that counters most of the defensive builds. And finally, if you do face a very strong knight, especially a 2-star Chaos Knight or 3-star Chaos Knight, that can give us a little bit of problem. But those build is not that common compared to the other builds that we can counter. So, briefly talking about the losing streak, you can see that in the early game, I'm just losing. Actually, yeah, the goal is to keep losing. And basically running 2 priests means we're losing quite consistently. And this time, I purposely kept the priest and I started with a losing streak. So, Not much to be said. I did find the Lucis Star, and what you want to remember with Lucis Star is you want to turn off the auto fuse so you have a chance of getting a 2-star unit instead of auto fusing into a 3-star unit. And after round 15, we'll be starting to roll for warriors, and also because I've lost quite a bit of health, I believe I'm still greedy. I'm quite greedy on this round. So sometimes you can go to level 6 right away, but you will lose chances of getting your warriors because the chance for tier 1 and also tier 2 units reduces as you go to level 6 compared to level 5, which is optimal. And because I had a lot of tango, I can keep losing. Now, here I didn't pick the Lucis Star because I picked the Certainty Loop just because I was about to lose my losing streak. And you get to see a bit of overflowing of the rolling for units, and it is quite important. Oh gosh, it's actually quite stressful watching myself overflow the units. I think I fused the unit. Yeah, the IO is great for that case, and here I did overflow the units, but I made enough space. So just be a little careful with rolling for 3-star units, because that in itself can destroy a game if you just start auto-selling your board because you did too many units on the board. And you can see here a lot of rolling. So if you guys want to have a look at Losing Streak Warrior, this will be a replay to show you guys how that is also done as well. Now, do keep in mind, in the final fights, I'll keep it as a suspense to you guys, but we are facing, I think we're facing demons, right, for the final fights. Oh no, we're facing knights and chores for the final fights, and they did have some really good pure damage against us. So I'll leave that as a suspense for you guys, so I'll provide both of the replays for you guys to have a look at the 3-star rolling warriors, which have been giving me one of the most consistent performance throughout the game. So notice I started at the bottom of the game, and with my losing streak, I slowly climb all the way to top 2 on this particular game as well.
Ice is nice.
Donut stands ready. Thanks. Four fists! It changes nothing! The Dusk is always ready for a fight. It changes nothing. and shields front! The dusk. Brad Warden. Juggernaut stands. Facts grow stronger. Axe or fists, it changes nothing. The dusk is always ready for a fight. Axe or fists, it changes nothing. Eyes up and shields front! Walrus! Axe grows. Eyes up! The dusk. Axe or fists, it changes nothing. This day belongs to us! God of... The dusk is always ready for a fight. Grab one. Eyes up. Walrus stands. This day belongs to act! My blade moves my stands ready. Time to shop. Juggernaut stands. My blade moves my turn.
faster.
Four fists! It
Smart
changes
me
nothing!
and you'll just end up smarting.
That's four fists! It changes nothing! This one's on me! This one's on me! Eyes up and shields front! Triple kill! The turret stands ready. always ready for a fight. Walrus punch.
From the deeps, I rise.
changes nothing. God of War. Tusker. Eyes up and shields front. The dusk is. Have secured our triumph! Brad, the dusk is over. My fleet or my turn. It changes nothing. Walrus! Eyes up! It changes nothing. Brad. The dusk is over.
Turlock stands ready.
Axe or fists. It changes nothing. Eyes up and shields front.
Turlock stands.
Eyes up. Axe or fist. It changes nothing. Brad. Bradwood. Bradwood. Let me use my turn. Thanks. Thanks.
Ice is nice.
This one's on me. choose. Monster kill.
The wolf in man's clothing.
Damnation rises. Step into a new arena. I step into a new arena. Behold the horn of Magnus. Ostriches void.
Time to shove off.